we on the program tonight, we're going to spend some time talking about hope, false hope, what biblical hope, what true hope is, and what it's all about, how it's established. We're also going to talk about those that pervert the nature of things and pervert the nature and the course of a life. We're going to talk about those that call good things bad and call bad things good. Now, all of this is in the Bible, and all of it is clearly mentioned in the Bible because it is within the mentality, the psychological makeup of mankind to do these things. It always has been, and it always will be. That's why, as Solomon said, there is nothing new under the sun. What has been will be, and what is will be again. It's just that simple. The psychological makeup of man does not change, and left to himself, he is going to repeat his crimes over and over and over, and he's going to do the same things in his rise and his fall that he's always done. So the Bible is the true psychological book. Therefore, it reveals to us the nature of who it is we're dealing with, as it is many times that I have shared with you and told you in times past that the Scripture tells us that we must know them that labor among us. That is one of the secrets. It's one of the keys of life, is knowing them that labor among us. The way that we know them that labor among us is that we have a gift of which God gave to mankind, or at least offered to mankind, that would give him the ability to do this, to know them that labor among him. Whether or not you've been close kin or close fellowship or what, to know them, it is called the discerning of spirits. Now, without the gift of the discerning of spirits, you will be taken, you will be used, you will be abused, because all you have to go by then is the promises and the smiles that someone gives you. But when you have the gift that God gives to us, then it makes normal, average, everyday people very aware of who and what spirit it is that they are dealing with. Now, in order to know mankind, you're going to have to know the Bible. That's why the Bible tells us that the beginning of all wisdom and all knowledge is the fear of the Lord. If you want to become a fool, and become a fool at a rapid speed, deny the Lord. Humanized psychology does not fail in its ability to recognize the traits of man, the activities of man, and the likelihood of what he's going to do. Where humanized psychology fails is when it starts trying to present or offer its man-made solutions to these psychological problems. Everything is fine with what they study and what they produce and what they learn and what they teach, up until it's time to teach or to show how it is to deal with or actually get over a condition or a problem. And then they simply turn to pills or some foolishness like idea from their own minds. The Bible tells us that we are not to be overtaken with this vain deceit and to be overcome by this vain philosophy of man. So we must understand that the Bible is the book that gives us the understanding of who and what is taking place. Now, the Bible tells us about hope, for an example. And hope is a big word that's tossed around now in these political campaigns and by these groups of individuals of which are referred to as politicians, which for some strange reason, a large portion of the world seems to think that because you stick politician in front of your name, somehow or the other, you're off limits. You can't be judged. You can't be dealt with as other human beings. You have to leave them alone, even though they are the ones who has the right and has the ability to make laws that greatly harm or help you. These are the very ones that we should hold to a biblical standard more so than anybody. To whom much is given, Jesus said, much is required. When a man takes the office of representation and representing thousands or millions of people, that man is to be held to a higher standard than even the people that he is representing, because so much now has been vested in him. So the very simple thing is that we must know them that labor among us. When we talk about hope, we're talking about something that is, well, life-sustaining. It's not a word to be played with. It's a word that should mean something. The Bible tells us in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 1, it says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen." Now, the word hope is a word that is used numerous times throughout the Bible, as you could imagine. But here what it refers to and what it means is the earnest expectation of a thing that's happening. Oftentimes, whenever we use the word hope, subconsciously, we're not earnestly expecting any good thing to happen. The word is phrased in doubt more often than in hope. I sure hope this happens. I sure hope that. I hope that don't happen. I hope this does happen. And the very expression of it itself is saying that you doubt very seriously that the thing that you hope is going or not going to happen. You have very little hope, actually, that it is or that it's not. Hope is something that brings us alive. It's like a dark cloud, a blackened sky. It does not take the removal of the entire darkness of the skies or the clouds that hide the sun to bring hope. In that storm, the smallest break, whereby a beam of light shines through the smallest break in the darkness of those heavy clouds, offers hope. The coal miner who is trapped down in the coal mine with apparently no way out. It doesn't take all of a sudden the coal mine to disappear and for him to be standing in solid ground and a beautiful sky above his head. All he has to do to regain his hope and his desire to live is to see at some distance a hairline, even a hairline crack, whereby the light of day can be seen. And that's all it takes to inspire him with hope to live. You move towards it. Hope is the earnest expectation, earnestly, honestly expecting something is good, that is good is fixing to happen. Now, we've just went through a presidential campaign whereby leaders of us is swinging around the word hope. Now, again, this has nothing to do with politics. This has something to do with Bible. These are personalities. These are human beings, some of which are so deranged and so twisted until we must continually use the power of our vote and influence to stop these mentally damaged human beings from ever wielding or exercising power over this country again, because truthfully and honestly, they are perverted, they are mentally ill, and they are what the Bible calls wicked. I've shared with you in times past 4 degrees of sin. The sinner, which we all are. Then there is the evil, the one that desires to harm. And then there is the third stage, the wicked. The fourth is the abomination. But the wicked, the stage of wickedness, comes from the word wicker, and it means twisted. It means that you reach a place that you don't know your right hand from your left. You are so mentally deranged that you no longer know the difference between daylight and dark. The scripture tells us this. In Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that puts bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." There are those. There is the mentality. There was the mentality. There was the human being. There was the man. There was the woman. There was and there is the human being who does not know light from darkness, who does not know bitter from sweet. These are the most deranged and sick human beings that the planet has to offer by fact. Some call it the pleasure-pain mechanism. How that the human being is designed to run to pleasure and designed to run from pain, his natural instincts. But those instincts can become perverted. And a person can, come to believe that the pain is the pleasure, and that the pleasure is the pain. It happens in all forms of addiction. That's why family, marriages, homes, children, that's why all these wonderful things are destroyed through addiction. Because the person comes to believe that the thing of which he's addicted to, the drugs or the dope, whatever it is, becomes their source of pleasure and their source of release and their source of happiness, while in fact it is driving them to the lowest hell, while it is destroying them. But now the loved ones that they once cherished, sons and daughters, mothers and fathers, preachers, is now trying to tell them this lifestyle must stop. Can't you see what it's doing to you? But their hatred is only fueled by these people's help or their attempt to help, until finally they withdraw themselves from everything they loved and everything that loved them, because in their mind now the only thing that brings them pleasure, the only thing that gives them life, is in fact the very thing that is destroying it. It's a perversion of the pleasure-pain mechanism in man. There are those among us, and I say it again, they think light is darkness. They think that good is evil. They think that evil is good. And we have seen and had them exposed over the last several years. Corruption on a level this country has never seen. Forget politics. We're talking about human beings that is able to affect what you make, if there is a job for you to even make anything with. Well, whether or not men can say they are women and walk in your daughter's bathroom, these are perverts. These are the sickest among us. And this country became so crazy and so out of touch with the Bible, true psychology, that we put these nuts, these perverts, that we put these mentally ill human beings in charge of our lives, and we're paying for it. Listen to these words as Mr. Obama is going out of office and his wife speaks of the no hope that we have now.
I do, because we feel the difference now. Yeah. See, now we're feeling what not having hope feels like, you know.
The question would be, who is it, Miss Obama, that you and your husband has given hope to? More than 900,000 out of the workforce. The nation's wages has decreased. More people is unemployed. Millions more are on welfare under the 8 years of your hope and change message. More people killed in Chicago, your hometown. Pay for African Americans, less. Less jobs for African Americans. Every single thing that you promised hope and change over got changed, but no hope whatsoever. You went in with a nation that 66% said that the race relations in America had bettered. After 8 years of your hope, 68% now says that they are worse. You've brought nothing but division, burning of cities, killings and murders, such as the country has hardly ever known. You've brought lesser jobs, lesser manufacturers, lower incomes, and the only thing you've done that multiplied anything was you multiplied welfare and people that's on it. Mr. Obama was asked at a town hall meeting from a man that worked at Carrier, this business that was fixing to be taken out of the United States, and this 55, 60-year-old man was about to lose his job. And he asked Mr. Obama, what was we going to do about it?
Here's someone who worked for Carrier, and he has a question for you.
How you doing, Mr. President?
How are you?
My name is Eric Cottenham, and I'm representing the Steelworkers Union, Local 1999, and I'm trying to find out what do we have left for as all of our jobs are leaving Indianapolis, right? And I see here you're doing a lot of things, but in Indianapolis, there's nothing there for us. I mean, what's next? I mean, what can we look forward to in the future as far as jobs, employment, whatever, because all of our jobs is left or in the process of leaving, sir.
What can we look forward to in the future? That is this man asking Mr. Obama, what hope can you give me? Here's Mr. Obama's message of hope.
For those folks who've lost their job right now because a plant went down to Mexico, that isn't going to make you feel better. And so what we have to do is to make sure that folks are trained for the jobs that are coming in now, because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back.
In other words, sir, your job is leaving and your job is not coming back. I hope that inspires hope in you. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to retrain and go back to school, because the jobs that you have ain't coming back. Problem is, Mr. Obama, this man is 50, 60 years old. He can't go retrain. He can't go to school. While he's at school, how does his family get fed? How does his house get paid? How does his car note get paid? How does his lights and water and gas get paid while he goes back to school and learns how to punch on a computer?
But I got to tell you that the days when you just being willing to work hard, and you can now walk into a plant and suddenly there's going to be a job for you for 30 years or 40 years, that's just not going to be there for our kids, because more and more that stuff's going to be automated. And if you go into a factory, that kid's going to need to know computers, or is going to need to know some science and some math, because they're not even going to be picking anything up. They're just going to be working on a keyboard.
He reaffirms to Mr. Cottenham the hope. Your job just ain't coming back. Then he begins to talk about kids at school punching keyboards. Well, the man of whom he is addressing is not a kid. He's not a child. And as I stated just a minute ago, he can't go back to school. He goes on to give him hope.
You cannot look backwards, and that doesn't make folks feel good sometimes, especially if it's a town that was reliant on a couple of big manufacturers. But they're going to have to retrain for the jobs of the future, not the jobs of the past.
For the third time, he reaffirms this hope. Your job ain't coming back. You're going to have to learn how to go punch some keyboards. Now, Mrs. Obama, is that hope? And is it now true that we now know what being without hope is? Because Donald Trump is the president and you and your husband is now leaving? Listen to the last remarks that Mr. Obama made to this man who he's been talking to. Listen to the remarks that he makes concerning Donald Trump, the mockery.
And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back, Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
Once again, a very, very childlike mind, ignorance out of this universe. But it's from a man who has never even run a lemonade stand. It's from a man who never had a business. He never even had a yard business. Never even had a lawnmower business. All he did was run around in communities stirring up strife and tacking signs to telephone poles. How could he possibly know what to do or how to keep this man's job from leaving?
Here's someone who worked for Carrier, and he has a question for you.
How you doing, Mr. President?
How are you?
My name is Eric Cottenham, and I'm representing the Steelworkers Union, Local 1999, and I'm trying to find out what do we have left for as all of our jobs are leaving Indianapolis, right? And I see here you're doing a lot of things, but in Indianapolis, there's nothing there for us. I mean, what's next? I mean, what can we look forward to in the future as far as jobs, employment, whatever, because all of our jobs is left or in the process of leaving, sir.
Now, had this gentleman asked President Trump that same question, he would not have heard 3 times over, your job is leaving, you're going to have to retrain, go back to school, punch some buttons, because your days of going in and just willing to work hard and get a job is over and done. It ain't going to happen. No. If this same man would have asked the same question to Donald Trump, Donald Trump would have said to him, sir, your job is not leaving. Your job is going to stay here. We're going to see to it that your job stays here. And not only that, but we're going to bring thousands of other jobs and manufacturers back here so that whenever you're gone, your children can work too. And then in just a matter of days, Mr. Trump does it. And Mr. Cottenham has his job today. Michelle, Miss Obama, this gentleman that you just saw has his job today. And his job is going to continue on. And he's going to keep his job because his job is not leaving. It is not going to Mexico. It's staying right here. And Mr. Cottenham gets to work. That, my dear sister, is what you call hope.
I do, because we feel the difference now.
Yeah.
See, now we're feeling what not having hope feels like, you know.
Mental basket cases. Men of perverted minds due to corruption, the rewiring of the human soul. Who calls good evil and evil good? Calls light darkness and darkness light? Who calls no hope hope? Who calls hope no hope? Who calls welfare and food stamps hope? And who says jobs will never return? We've let the inmates of this insane asylum run it.
I do, because we feel the difference now.
Yeah.
See, now we're feeling what not having hope feels like, you know.
Because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back.
Of SoftBank from Japan, and he's just agreed to invest $50 billion in the United States and 50,000 jobs.
I do, because we feel the difference now.
Yeah.
See, now we're feeling what not having hope feels like, you know.
They're coming here. But I got to tell you that the days when you just being willing to work hard, and you can now walk into a plant and suddenly there's going to be a job for you for 30 years or 40 years, that's just not going to be there for our kids.
I was just called by the head people at Sprint, and they're going to be bringing 5,000 jobs back to the United States. They're taking them from other countries. And also OneWeb, a new company, is going to be hiring 3,000 people. So that's very exciting. So we have a combination of Sprint for 5,000 jobs, and that's coming from all over the world, and they're coming back into the United States, which is a nice change. And also OneWeb, 3,000 jobs. That's a new company.
I do, because we feel the difference now.
Yeah.
See, now we're feeling what not having hope feels like, you know.
Mental basket cases.
It was against my better judgment to ever leave my country roots. But she told me there was more to living than reading Bibles in Sunday school. Every 3 days in this city, and I done had more than I can take. So I'm going back to the woods, but baby, I learned from my mistakes. Hey, there's a cat down on the street. He got some hair like a porcupine. He got a wire stuck through his nose, got a earring in his eye. Now you know that I'm a man, but baby, I'm scared to go outside. So I'm going back to the woods. You can kiss these bricks goodbye. If this concrete jungle is what you want, well, you can have it to yourself. As far as I'm concerned, these monkeys ought to be swinging by the tails. It's like another planet. As far as I know, it could be hell. So I'm going back to the woods, and I'm gonna hermitize myself. Chick, she talks to moonbeams. She got a boyfriend she calls Pooh. One of them's hair is purple, and Lord, the other one is blue. I don't know what's on your mind, but I know what I'm gonna do. I'm going back to the woods, and baby, that's a with or without you. If this concrete jungle is what you want, well, you can have it to yourself. As far as I'm concerned, these monkeys ought to be swinging by the tails. Hey, it's like another planet. As far as I know, it could be hell. So I'm going back to the